Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and today on the channel I am bringing another new group into the mix. I was introduced to one of the members of this group when I did Voice Play's Just Sing, because they were a guest on it, and it just put the group back into my mind. The group's Rockapella. Jeff Thatcher, their beatboxer, appeared briefly in Just Sing, and I heard Rockapella a long time ago, 10, 12 years ago, and I have no idea what songs I knew, but of course, more than anything, I think their most identifiable piece of music to many people will be the theme tune, the original theme tune to Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, recently re-released, of course, on Netflix. I forget who did the new theme, actually. I'll have to maybe put a comment here if I look that up and remember it when I come to edit this. But yeah, that, of course, made them a household name. That show ran for years, and, you know, their voices were heard right before every episode. And, you know, it still sticks in your head that Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? The sound was so unique. And that's going to put them into, you know, that'll make them a household name in a way that, you know, nothing else would, really. I really enjoyed their music when I was younger. As I say, I cannot remember which songs I heard, but today we're reacting to a very recent one. This came out 3 years, well, I guess almost 4 years ago now, in July 2019. This is I'm in Luv W U, or I'm in Love with You. And this is a song that's actually written by Scott Leonard. And I am not, of course, familiar with this. This is an original, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it does. I don't have a lot to say. You know, often I go into a little bit of history about the song in question that's being covered, but of course this isn't a cover, so I don't have an enormous amount to say about it. Written and arranged by Scott. Mix and video done by Jeff Thatcher for ninjapella.com. I looked them up. Ninjapella is a 3-man organization that I think, you know, does graphic design, music mixing, video editing, that sort of stuff. And I'm guessing maybe they have an a cappella leaning. I don't really know. But yeah, that's who they are. This is from Rockapella's album Jams, Volume 2. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. So I know that Jose Rosario Jr. has sung with these folks before, who, of course, we just saw in My Mother Told Me with Voice Play, and I saw back with them for Hoist the Colours as well. He's not in this video, so Jeff is the only person in this video I have seen before, to my knowledge, on the channel. So, interesting to see a new group of singers as well. I'm excited to see what this does. Before we get into this, though, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you have not been here before. The way this is going to work is I'm going to watch the video straight through from beginning to end, commenting and emoting over the top, but not otherwise interrupting the video. Then I will go back and watch it again, and this time I will analyze it. I will interrupt, pause, and offer what commentary and analysis I feel like I can from moment to moment. And that's how this channel works. Please do like the video if you enjoy this. Please hit that subscribe button, even if you never want to hear from me. You can always just select no notifications. But subscribing to the channel is amazing for the algorithm and really gets my channel out there. You can, if you wish, select notifications, all of them, none of them, somewhere in between, as suits your wish. And if you would like to, you could head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, where you can donate to support the channel. That would be very much appreciated, but of course is not necessary. And now, without any further delay, let's dive in and bring a new group to the channel. So this is Rockapella with I'm in Love with You. Oh,
I'm in love with you.
This contrast is great.
I'm in love with you now.
Silly got your lips as they whisper, come on up. I can't see you from behind. Every precious step we climb. I can't silly got your walk as you
Oh, this is great.
You wish your world ways, but they know it when you wonder what I won't be wanting you. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do.
Oh, this is so much fun, and I love how much the enjoyment of the video too.
I'm in love with you now.
Thank you, Jeff.
Walk away. I forget you just like that. You think surely we ain't real. Surely we ain't not a thing. You think you can hide your heart, but I'm here to tell you something real. Not happen here. Something so outside the same old violent saddle of the sea. I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do.
This is so much fun.
I'm gonna stick like glue. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do. I can free kung fu. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. There ain't nothing you can say that's gonna shoot my love away.
There's something about the
Baby, stop.
video. It's just kind of it's hypnotic, but it's really infectiously happy.
What I gotta do to make you say I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do.
It's such a smart design. This is really catchy.
I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do. I ain't free no. I'm in love with you.
He just crack up. Oh, that's so much fun. I really, really like that. The everything about that is designed to make you enjoy it and get caught up in it. That's awesome. Oh, that made me really happy. I needed a song that was going to be a bit bouncy today. It's been a long week, and this is just what I needed. That's a lot of fun. There's an interesting... I feel like every group, there's a different quality to the sound that they put out there. And there's something... I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm hearing with Rockapella, and I think it's that the way that they're... sort of the arrangement is done, but then also the way that they're mixed. It's very tight. And there's something about it that's just... I don't even know the right word to describe it, but they're gelled together in a way that it's less about a single voice standing out, other than the person who is singing the melody at a moment. All the groups do that, and I'm not sure quite what I'm trying to get at here. It's the texture of the sound is just, it's specific. It's I guess maybe that's what they do. That's Rockapella's sound. It's very cool. I like it. Yeah, that's just a lot of fun. I think they've just deliberately gone for something there that is bouncy. It's catchy. That's something you could see really getting people going in a concert, but it's also something, the visual of it is so stimulating. It's very, very hard not to get wrapped into it. And I found myself slightly zoning, especially with there was that sort of section there where I kind of zoned out slightly in the video with the sort of that pattern of just constantly sort of coming towards you, the heart shapes merging between the two different tones. And it draws you in straight away in a way that it's difficult to look away and difficult to kind of, I wasn't even saying anything. But yeah, I like that a lot. Let's go back and watch this through again from the beginning and see what I can see. Okay, I knew I was going to do that. I'm just going to stop it right there. This is such a brilliant beginning to this. So this is the Rockapella logo. That much I've discerned from the fact that I've seen it in multiples of their thumbnails. But I love that you have that against this vibrant orange, which right off the bat, it's not a primary color, but it's an extremely bright color. It's something that pulls you in. They've chosen a shade it's warm, but it's bright. It catches your attention. If you were walking, past a TV store and this popped onto the screen, you would turn and look. You wouldn't be able to not, I think. And that's a great choice because it's just an immediate pull into the video. And then to have this stark contrast of the 5 arms, hands, fingers snapping. I mean, it's such a brilliant use of color and lack of color. I think this is a really strong opening to this, and I also like that we open this way, just with the finger snaps. And then you also have, I'm assuming this is Calvin, I think. I like that you have this very, very strong silhouette, the bust silhouette, and just that sharp turn of the head. And it's you know nothing from this. It's just motion, but it's already setting up what the video is going to be. It's really, really clever. And we saw this with the Bass Gang doing Hooked on a Feeling, where you have the stark silhouettes of all the singers. And I don't know them well enough to judge. I'm gonna guess probably Mitchell, Jeff, Brian, Scott, Calvin, just based on their pictures. But I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Mitchell and Brian, I got the wrong way around. Anyway, the point being, I love that you've got this thing. They've done the height, so you get. I don't know if this is how tall they actually are, but they've done it so that you kind of have this nice little slant. Not everything's on the same level, which immediately makes it more visually interesting. As well, you have, of course, the different hairstyles. Like, I think that's Scott. Would that be Scott? With his hair sticking out the back. Jeff's little lick at the top. This sort of spiking in the hair. It's small visual distinctions, but it makes it really fascinating to look at. And then, of course, the very striking title, the asterisk for the apostrophe in the I'm, everything lowercase. It's got a very kind of graffiti look to it. It's a cool choice of font for a music video that is going to be all about vibrant color and, that kind of offset shading in different colors where, the shadow, it's not like there's a perfect ring around somebody. It's offset so that one side of their face is kind of cutting into the edge of the shading and all that sort of stuff. We'll talk about it in a minute, but it's got a kind of graffiti feel to it. I get that. I see why they've chosen this font for it, and it's a great choice.
With you now. I'm in love with you now.
This is such an interesting beginning to everything. Just this low, I'm in love with you. It's quite low. You're not getting a sense of group right now. You're getting a sense of the tonic note of the chord. Like, they've set us into our key with that. But they're not really telling us much else. And then you have the beatbox come in after the first occurrence of that. Then it keeps going. You've got this gradual introduction of elements. And then you finally finish on this and cut to this freeze frame of the group. And this is a really fun way of introducing them. You've got goofy poses. You've got... Freeze frame is kind of hilarious anyway. There's something about it. And especially in that presentation with that percussion hit, it makes it comedic. And it's such a great way to introduce everybody. I love this as a start to a video. It's wonderful. And then they go into the song. So I want to watch that sequence again because this is brilliant.
I'm in love with you now.
Also, one other thing I'm stopping for, but when they have you've set this up, and then I'm in love with you now, it stops and then comes back in. That's a really cool move too, because it's just sharp changes, which is what this video is going to be about.
I'm in love with you now. I'm in love with you now.
This is so clever. I love that. I think that's absolutely brilliant introduction. Well played to them. Now let me just have a look at this. I'm just trying to see if I can... So Jeff's in the center. Scott, who wrote the song, to the right of the screen as we see it. Calvin on the end. Now these two... I looked up the images. I haven't watched the video yet, but I did Google the names just so I could try and identify. And these two look just similar enough, not knowing who they are, that I'm not quite sure which way they are around. I think that's Mitchell doing this, and then Brian on the end, but I'm not 100% certain. I recognize them more, I think, when we see some close-ups, right? Just defining characteristics, especially with one of them turning away. I feel like we'll see what happens in a minute. Anyway, but yeah, great. Love this. This is such a fun way to start. On with the song.
Can't still make out your lips as they whisper, come on up. I can't see you from behind.
This is really, really nice. First things first, I'm just going to finish on the visuals. This is what I was talking about with these shadows. You've got this white shadow that's outlining them, and it's off-center. You can see now, this I know is Bryant on the right side of the screen. You can see it particularly strongly with him, a little bit so with Jeff too. But the fact that the ear is cut off on both of them, you can see there's so much more of it to one side. It's just an interesting choice to have that slight offset. I just realized you can see the top of the frame there because they cut the top of his hair off. But it's just it's a really cool look, and it's having it completely centered on them would still look really, really cool. But there's an additional level of interest by just setting it slightly to one side, and it's such a subtle thing, but it was a really good choice because it just increases something. I don't even know exactly what it is, but there's an interest level that's just boop, as a result of just having that slight offset. That's great. They're also, I didn't mention it, but having the I'm in love with you text like superimposed over the silhouettes is fantastic. Oh, it's just a Diesel shirt. I was like, is this a show shirt or something like that? This is so interesting because we get a lot of exposure to Scott straight off the bat. Yeah, I think there's two voices there, but they're singing in unison in the harmony, and then it's just him over the top of them, plus the beatboxing. It's quite simple, and then it very rapidly gets more complicated. It almost pulls away for that little section as I whisper, come, and it's just it drops back for a second, and now we get much more of a harmony straight away. It's a really quick introduction to some of what's going on in the song, but I like it. It's really effective.
Can't see you from behind, and a precious step we climb. I can't see the guys you walk as you walk.
And I like that as that harmony comes in, we start seeing more silhouettes, and then we get that shift into actually seeing. It's Calvin someone. I like that too. The start facing each other, shift to facing away from each other. We've kind of got this tone in the song of, somebody who is madly in love, somebody who's trying to walk away. I like that we get a little bit of that represented by the shifting around of the silhouettes on the screen. There, and this is Mitchell, right? I love that we get that shift into them, kind of we're gradually pulling elements into the song. And it's just a really interesting way to do it with these reveals, and then like taking the reveal away again and going just back to silhouettes and things like that. It's a really interesting way to use visuals. They're not really drawing attention because I can't identify which parts necessarily somebody's singing here, not knowing the voices yet. So it's not like it's trying to pull my attention to one person in particular. In fact, the audio, audibly, the attention is on Scott still. But it's just saying, hey, there's harmony going underneath. There's a couple of people singing here. It's really interesting. I love what they've done here.
Come on up, I can't see you from behind, and a precious step we climb. I can't see the guys you walk as you walk away to ways. You wish your world will ways, but they don't.
There's something kind of it's got like a 70s, late 70s, early 80s psychedelic thing going on, but contemporized, and I really, really like that. Like the colors here of having the red against the orange and the blue against the pink, and it's all clashing in really striking ways, and it works perfectly because they've set up with less clashy colors. They've already set this concept up. Yeah, this is really, really smart. And it's, sorry, I keep stopping on this, but I just keep thinking of things to say because this is such an interesting song to listen to. I like that we've clearly have Scott the whole way through, but underneath them, it's just this, it's a unit. I think that's maybe what I'm hearing is there's less breadth in this arrangement. Maybe that's what I was trying to get at earlier on. Like, you listen to a voice play arrangement, and you have Ellie way up top. You have Jeff in his boots. You have whoever, Caesar, Janan, enter guest here, depending on which video you're going, kind of all around the middle somewhere, and then whoever's singing solo in that moment kind of weaving around them all. This one, it's very much you have Scott front and center audibly. You can hear him all the time. And then everyone else is kind of, it's a tighter cluster. And it's creating a very different sound. And there's nothing wrong or right either way. You're creating two different soundscapes with the music that you're doing. But I think that's what I was trying to identify earlier, is it's a very tight cluster. And it's actually really, really effective, because what you've got here is you've kind of got this potent backing group that acts as a unit and supports as a unit. And it's kind of creating this really cool effect that is working really well for them. And in this, that it's just kind of this one support that's working to boost the solo that's out front. Even Jeff... oh goodness, having two Jeffs. Okay. Jeff Thatcher, obviously not Jeff Castellucci. I keep saying Jeff and then questioning myself because I it's like, this is Jeff? There is a Jeff. Even he is quite tight in with the group that's actually singing. And, you know, we saw him in Just Sing. If you didn't see that reaction, go check it out. It's awesome. So many cool people in that video. But we saw him in that. He has a very powerful beatbox, and the way he's using it here is quite reserved. It's doing a lot, and it's really cool. But it's settled in with that cluster, and that's what I'm saying. Is it's like one big support that's working with everybody else. It's really cool. Even these you wish you were, whatever the words are that they're singing over the top. Even then, it's like they pop out of the group and then drop back into it again. They're not separated out to one side or above or below or anything like that. They're just there's a feature moment where, in the gaps between what Scott is singing, the harmony comes forward slightly and fills that gap and then retreats and lets Scott come back out. That's cool, because you've got him doing this kind of it's very kind of staccato short notes, and then the group underneath is supporting with a longer phrase, and it lets him have this kind of embellishment, this percussive vocal solo, whilst still having a solid backing underneath and not breaking the song up. This is really cool. I also love here, again, these visuals are so striking. It's hard not to comment on them all the time because there's so much going on. But this view here, where you have Scott being the only one who is highlighted, and yet all 5 members are then represented through these colored silhouettes. This is so cool. And then going into that, I want... Again, I'm not... It's the one thing I am having just a tiny bit of difficulty hearing some of the words they hear. But their lead into this section, they break up slightly and they join him in being a little bit more percussive as they gradually come into this next section. And then we go into this awesome chorus, which is going to be stuck in my head now for a week. It's so much fun and so catchy, but I like that we now break into this different style of video where we have these silhouetted dancers in the background. It's such an effective look, and look at the plainness of this screen. There's not this... What's going on is both very complicated and very simple. Stark red background, 2 dancers represented in white with a kind of delayed silhouette going on with them as well. And then Calvin up front with the blue outline. 3 very strong color representations, 2 primary and 1, I don't know if there's a word for it, but like total color, all the color. And then just Calvin in black and white over the top. That's an extremely powerful mix, and it's sparse, but really interesting. I'm in love I also love how here, now the harmony really shines out, because they are the harmony's singing above Calvin. There's probably an octave's gap, or almost an octave's gap there, it feels like at points. And it suddenly, it features more. And I think that's why they've gone for this tighter cluster during the verse, is you've got this lovely breakout now for the chorus, where there's more going on, without a lot more really going on. It's very, very clever.
I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do. I'm gonna stick by you. I'm in love with you.
I'm just sorry, I got caught up watching there. This is Mitchell on the left. Is he beatboxing as well? I was just watching his mouth, and it didn't look like he was singing.
Nothing you can do. I'm gonna stick by you.
Oh no, sorry, he's the bass. That's why it's dum 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 dum. That makes sense. So this is cool. We actually have almost more highlighted the upper harmony, and yet we're seeing the visuals, the clear visuals, of the bass and the beatboxer. That's a really interesting decision. I'm guessing, therefore, Bryant and Scott, it checks out now that I clocked that, are the two silhouettes behind. So they're featuring almost by not featuring? This is such a fascinating video.
I'm gonna stick by you. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you now.
Oh, this is great. I really, really like this. So, yeah, I'm fascinated that they're featuring themselves with movement when they're actually almost more the featured harmony. This is fascinating. And I love, as we go into this transition, we get this awesome end to the vocals from Calvin here. And this, what both musically and visually, what goes on here is great.
I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you now.
I love that. You. We go down for the ending of the chorus. It drops down the octave. You've got this lovely Calvin's, like, the quality in his the range that he's singing in here is fantastic, because you've got this lovely tone up, and then he's got this very potent lower notes, but it's not standing out in any way. It feels like it's at the same level as everything else that's just happened, but because he's dropped down the octave, it's kind of picked up the intensity for a second, because he's doing something so different. And it's just that I'm in love with you now. And it's a very simple ending statement. It's one note, I think. Let me make sure. So, I'm in love with you. So 2 octaves there, from down to I'm. He moves a lot. I'm in love with you.
I'm in love with you now.
And other than the fall off of now, it's all one note for that I'm in love with you. It's a great button on the end of that chorus. We've settled, I'm in love with you. We've settled onto that note, and then and it all buttons out. At the same time, we have this cool visual of that blue overtaking the screen before we drop back to Jeff here with these double silhouettes going on. And it's this transition. The transitions are really cleanly marked. And that has to happen in a video that is dealing with such sharp color and very little else. Because if the transitions aren't clean in this, the whole video would end up looking muddy. And they've done such a good job. Kudos to the sort of VFX team here. It's really, really impressive what they've done. That little break as well, we just get again.
I'm in love with you now.
So just pausing here, this is going to be one of Jeff's moments to shine a little bit, because he's the only thing that's happening right now, and it's such a reserved solo, for want of a better phrase, or like the little break between the two. He doesn't go crazy with a massive drum kit. He keeps it very tight. It's this clustered thing again. We're pulling back into the verse, so everything is sucking back a little bit in the harmony. It's really cool.
You just walk away. I forget you just like that.
But this time there's a little more harmony. There's a little more vocalization to that. Oh, kind of going on in the background there.
You just walk away. I forget you just like that. We ain't real.
I'm in love with you now. I'm in love with you now. just more already, and it doesn't have to be a lot, because there was so little first time around that even small shifts as they uptick will make a huge change to the quality that's being presented in the song, because it's already a more involved quality than it was before. It's great.
Just walk away. I forget you just like that. You think surely we ain't real. Surely we ain't not a thing. You think you can hide your heart, but I'm here to tell you something.
It's so interesting how they switch between styles too. So going back a section,
I forget you just like that.
we have this visual of two people facing away once again. It's those same colors we had earlier in the video. The face, or the profile, the shadow behind, and the bright color. You have this where you have very clear Scott, very not so clear Bryant, like much more transparent, and the outline around Scott. So we only really have two colors here, but we have two different qualities of the people. And then when you cut to Jeff, oh, you've also got the hearts starting to peel through now as well. Oh, I went too far, didn't I? Oh, there we go. And then when you cut to Jeff, you have this whole transparent thing going on again, but now you not only have three colors, one of them is moving. It's amazing what small things become catching, like attention drawing sort of factors, because they're different. And it doesn't take a lot to make it different when you're playing with, again, the same way, vocally speaking, it doesn't take a lot to increase the breadth and the range of the harmony that's going on here. Right now, it doesn't take a lot to increase the visual interest, because, again, they've started out with not a lot going on, and so any change is a big change. This is really, really clever.
I forget you just like that. You think surely we ain't real. Surely we ain't not a thing. You think you can hide your heart, but I'm here to tell you something real. Not happen here. Something so outside the same old Riley. Saddle of the sea.
So is Bryant singing bass now? Was it Bryant earlier? Am I just mixing people up? Somebody help me. Let me know in the comments where I'm messing up. Or is it just that they switch parts? Which is also really cool if that's what they're doing. But again, I'm being caught by people's mouths where it's like I'm not seeing the words being sung in the mouth shapes that are being created. And it did seem like he was singing the bass line there, but I'm pretty sure it was Mitchell when I commented on it earlier. Maybe I just got one of them wrong. My apologies if I am doing that. Please correct me. I would appreciate it. New group, new people. I have to learn who everybody is.
But I'm here to tell you something real. Not happen here. Something so.
It's incredible how much harmony they manage to fit in these tight, like there's thirds being sung here, I think, and they're quite tight together. They're not moving that much. They're just shifting tones or semitones, and yet they're getting an amazing amount of harmony coming through on this. It's extremely clever writing. Scott's done a great job with this arrangement.
To tell you something real. Not happen here. Something so outside the same old Riley. Saddle of the sea.
And he's going all over the place, and yet this harmony underneath, it's this tight. It's like you've got two, like if your tonics here, you've got your third and your fifth, and they're just shifting ever so slightly, like in little steps, going the wrong way, of course, because it's the right way for me. And then he's doing all this kind of crazy flying all over the place. I'm really fascinated by what they've done with this. His tone of voice, incidentally, I haven't talked about that yet. I am finding a little bit of the enunciation slightly trickier to pick up on, but the tone of voice he's getting out of this is gorgeous. Like, I love how much range he's displaying in what he's doing. He's moving all the time. Like, it's a very non-static melody. Like, it's going all over the place. And I love the quality of the sound he's producing. I wish we had closed captions for this, because I'd like to be a little bit more sure about the words that I'm hearing.
So outside the same old Riley. Saddle of the sea. I'm in love with you.
And there again, this break back to Calvin just singing, I'm in love with you. And off we go into chorus land. And we immediately get these dancers back in. We get this high harmony coming back in. There's all that. And this time we've been slightly more set up for it. I think I'm right in saying that. Because Scott's gone a little bit higher this time than he did before. There was a little bit more motion even coming into this. And now we're breaking back out into this sort of familiar territory for the chorus. This is great.
I'm in love with you. Nothing you can. I'm mostly like
I'm just listening to this too. They're really basically shifting between two chords. There's a lot more going on because there's a lot of passing notes and things like that being brought in here. But even if you just listen to the bass line, dum 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 dum, like they're just, it's really bum 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 bum. That's all they're really doing. But because of the emotion in the melody line that's going on here and the way that the harmony's been constructed, sounds more complicated than that, but it's just really not. Also, it's the rhythm. That's the other thing. The bass rhythm is great. Just listening to this. Yeah, like there, that tonic note, so you've got this dum 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 dum. He's just behind the beat. He comes back in not on beat one, but on, I think, and. Yeah, he comes in on one and yet going up, dum 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 dum. He actually hits that the subdominant, the fourth, just before the beat. So there's a lot of push and pull going on in the bass line, which is interesting because the bass is obviously is often the foundation of what's going on right now. And in some ways, it's being more inventive than the harmony right now in terms of its rhythm. And that's really cool. And it's keeping a level of interest going on here that is higher than it would be if it was just sort of a dum, 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 dum. Like, it's way more interesting than that. Nothing you can. I'm mostly like I love how this time we've got, like, Calvin seems less busy, but his emphasis, the embellishments that he's got here that he's filling in at the end of each line are making everything sound so much more kind of engaging again than it could be. The way they've kept interest in this arrangement is really, really cool. Also, it's such a simple effect, but the fact that they've quadrupled the same image here so that it looks like there are 8 dancers, and it's perfectly conceivable. You know, you could have 2 sets of dancers doing 2 different things, intermixing amongst each other, and yet it's the same 2 people 4 times over. It's such a simple trick, but it's really kind of upped the interest level in what's going on the left side of the screen right now. This is really cool. Nothing you can. I'm mostly like I'm in love with you. It's so fascinating that it is the person who is singing the embellishments that we can see the most clearly. Like, the thought process that's gone into this video is really interesting. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in some of the sort of the pitch session, if you like, on how this was put together. Because some of the choices, it's all working, but the choices are really unusual. So I guess it's Mitchell and Scott that are always staying up the top. So they're the 2 high voices. I'm sort of gradually picking all of this up. So I'm guessing maybe it was Bryant singing the bass line earlier and I just messed that up. Again, please correct me if I am wrong. And now we've got that exact same visual we had earlier, except this time all 5 of them are visible. Again, very subtle evolution. And you also have this very striking visual, which I didn't quite catch exactly what was going on there, but you have in the background these giant versions of the 2 faces that are on the edge of the screen blown up with the 2 dancers superimposed in front of them. There's so much going on with so little. And then almost this kind of rose petal look behind. This, oh, wow. You are in love with me. Nothing you can. I can freak Oof, that's a lot right there, but again, it's a cool effect. And because we know there's 5 people, we know there's sharp colors, we know there's a lot of cuts to different things, it actually does make sense.
I'm in love with you.
I'm just seeing what we've got. Oh, are these the poses from the beginning? No, not quite. That's really cute. Yeah, it's really sharp there. Those 5 cuts. I'm in love with you. Bang, 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 bang. It's like just over a second, and you get 5 cuts in that space of time. Like, that's action movie level of cutting. But somehow, I think because it is just a person on a bright colored background, it works.
I can freak kung fu. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. There ain't nothing you can say.
And now we go into the really hypnotic. This is the hypnotic visual I was talking about, where it was almost getting difficult to sort of comment because it was just drawing me in so much. And that's really cool that they've created a visual that can do that. Yeah.
I'm in love with you. There ain't nothing you can say.
That's interesting too. Even the placement of where they put the cuts, because they've cut in time for and there ain't, which of course is good, but it means we're cutting on the upbeats, so we're actually getting a little bit longer on each thing. It's this is just fascinating. I love the harmonies that are over this section here.
I'm in love with you. There ain't
There ain't such an interest. It's too quick to pick out what's going on there, but it's just a really nice, rich harmony on upbeat notes. Like, that's the detail.
in love with you. I'm in love with you. There ain't nothing you can say.
And there, so simple, nothing you can say, the harmony isn't moving. Calvin is, yeah, sure, he's singing a melody, but the harmony is singing, it's the same 2 notes there, and then they resolve on say.
I'm in love with you. There ain't nothing you can say. Let's go shoot.
And nothing you can say, they then don't move again. It's only the bass that moves at that point. And, oh, this is genius.
Nothing you can say. Let's go shoot.
But there, nothing you can say. Bum, 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 bum. That simple drop down there changes the sound of the harmony so much. The intricacy, in some ways, you would be forgiven for going, oh, they don't change notes. That's such simple harmony. But it's not, because of how effectively it's been used. The choice not to do much is actually a very difficult choice to make, because you run the risk of sounding boring, of sounding monotonous, of sounding uninventive. And that's exactly what they have not done. This is really, really good writing.
Nothing you can say. Let's go shoot my love away. Come on, baby, stop, turn around, see me begging, please on the ground. What?
I keep getting caught up in this. It's so interesting. I am fascinated. This is a masterclass study in doing a lot with very little motion. It's just fascinating how tight. I don't know if unfortunately, I'm pushed for time again a little bit this week. I don't know if I'll get to this, but I would love to actually figure out how far in a musical range does the harmony move in a chorus, because it's not going to be much. And it's extraordinary what a wide variety of sound they create with such little movement.
Come on, baby, stop, turn around, see me begging, please on the ground. What I gotta do to
Even
make
there.
it stop, turn around, see me begging, please on the ground.
Just that bum 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 bum. It's just that little bit of bass movement makes it all sound so different. I don't think I've ever heard. I've said before that the bass kind of creates the sound and decides a little bit of the quality of the sound that's going on above it. I'm not sure it's very often I've heard a bass drive that sound so hard. Usually I feel like it's everything moving in motion, and it's like we're resolving to this chord, but the bass is going to that unexpected note, so the whole chord sounds different. Here it's like the bass is actually kind of creating the harmonic influence on the song so powerfully, because it's the only thing moving half the time.
Come on, baby, stop, turn around, see me begging, please on the ground. What I gotta do to make you stay? What I gotta do? What I gotta do to make you
That motion there, that sequence is so good. Again, listen to the bass to kind of get the gist of where it's going. It creates such an interesting effect. Bum, 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 bum. You kind of expect it to be dum, 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 bum, bum, bum. But it's bum, bum, and then it goes up, I think. Bum, 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 bum. It's, oh, genius. I love, oh, even the way they've layered the vocals here. Make you say. You've kind of got this ripple effect that's going on there. And I'm not even sure it is. I think it's just a trick of the ear. As one person, I think, who comes in a little bit later. It's such a simple thing, but it gives you this echo effect that just widens out the sound so far.
I'm in love with you.
And now we're back to familiar territory again. Except now we're blending different things because we've got this wider vocal that we've had, but we're blending it with this visual that we had at the beginning of the song, with the silhouette with the text behind it. But now the silhouettes aren't black, they're coloured. The background is no longer solid. It's got this heart pattern that's going on and moving. The evolution that's happened through this song in some ways is so subtle, and yet there's been such a lot of it.
Nothing you can do. I must be like you.
I love that we're moving from person to person. Everyone's getting their second. It's just really good. I'm kind of running out of things to say because I feel like I'm repeating myself, but the way that they've put this together is genius. Oh, that note. I didn't hear that. Hang on. Where does that start?
I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do.
Oh, that's so cool. One. Each line. That's really cool.
What I gotta do to make you stay? I'm in love with you.
One.
Nothing you
And again.
can do. I must be like you.
And then it's done. But for those two lines, and you can hear it, when we get to this third line now where we're seeing Jeff, the harmony's a little bit fuller. But for those first two lines where you just had that over the top, it brings a huge new level of interest into what's going on. And I didn't hear it the first time I was going, even like at this analysis point. I caught it right at the end of the second time it happened. But it's going on and it's widening what your ears are listening to. That's so cool.
I must be like you. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. Nothing you can do.
This is great too, because even though we've just kind of got this, you've got two layers of colour essentially. You've got the heart sort of pattern in the background, but they're not super distinct, the two colours that are involved in that. And then you have the colour of the silhouette. But the movements are so sharp, even when it's like Jess standing there, he's not, his profile stays quite narrow. But because of the sharpness of the colour against the background, you get sharpness of movement, because it's such a stark contrast going on. This is really well done.
Nothing you can do.
Does he just crack up there? I think he does, doesn't he? Because you can see it, where he has that sort of, where he licks his lip for a second and it's like he's trying not to laugh and then just gives up. I get the vibe that for this section of the video, they just went, yeah, just stand in front of this green screen and dance. Just do something and have fun. And he went, yeah, I'm just going to floss, and couldn't take himself seriously. That's so cool.
I ain't free no fool. I'm in love with you.
And now that's so powerful too. For a moment there, you have the black background.
I ain't free no fool.
Now, have we? I don't think we've had this yet in the video, have we? We haven't had black as the we've had black as the silhouettes. Both I think the shadow was black on a couple of occasions, but certainly when we were just seeing the black silhouette of each of the singers, but we haven't had black as the background yet. And now you have this reversal where you have these two shades of black and grey behind and this vibrant colour in front, and my goodness, does it punch strong right now. Also, I've got exactly the right color in my microphone for this moment in the song. But this hits hard because it's so different to what we've had before. Even right now, right before the end of the song, they're changing things up a bit. And of course, because the Calvin right here, the singers are in grayscale, they're in black and white, they're not in color, they complement the background. It makes the silhouettes stand out all the more. Same thing again here. This blue, you've also got the red and the blue now, so you're kind of introducing a new element. It's still evolving now, right before the end of the song, but the grayscale singers versus the black background is such a potent combination right now. I also love that they choose... Like, it's a potent moment to have so much kind of flashing. I think it does actually make sense that they finish on the logo. I almost wish they didn't do that, but it is effective. And I love that you have on that final dump, everything cuts to black. They're half in my bad books right now, because audibly, they let that last note hang on. I wish they hadn't brought this in quite so quickly. I would have liked one more second of black screen, and then we get the album coming through. I also love, and I'm guessing maybe this is just the vibe, visually speaking, throughout this album, but I love that we have this very graffiti look to the album, because it matches what I was saying at the beginning of this very graffiti effect. Again, the jams on the cover, even the Vol 2, to a certain extent, less so. Kind of graffiti style writing, and then of course all this artistry going on behind it. It's really, really cool, but it's very, very vibrant. Lots of stark contrast going on, kind of matches up with everything that we just saw. And then yes, we just go on to that. And I like consistency, right? We come back to this, we have the heart pattern going on behind. It's a simple thing, but it really nicely ties in with the video. This is so much fun. I really, really enjoyed that. This was just, honestly, the way I picked this, I looked at their videos and it looked, I didn't see any of the video, but I did open one up and realized that a lot of their videos recently, of course, have been under pandemic conditions. This being 2019 would have been shortly beforehand. They have a lot of videos where it's 5 faces. This is also, I saw Jose Rosario Jr. in one of those. I think that was the one I opened up, actually. So I saw his face and clocked that he'd sung with them. But they were ones where they had all taken videos on their iPhone, and that's how they had formed them together to form the group. I wanted to do something, a lot of my analyses have this kind of visual element going on, and my goodness, am I glad I did this song. But I do enjoy commenting on that, and so I didn't want to do an iPhone video for them as their the first thing out the gate. I wanted to do something that was more like produced video. This is wonderful. I really, really enjoyed that. It's really kind of got me upbeat and energized, and that's great. If you could do that with a piece of music, you're really onto a winner right there. And this is going to be living rent-free in my head for a while, because it's such a good piece of music. I really, really enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. I hope I brought some interest to the piece. Maybe if you've seen this a few times, I brought something to it you haven't heard before. Or it just brought you the piece of music. And the group, even. Although I'm sure most people have probably heard Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, or at least most of my viewers. But cool to see the group still going strong years later and producing some really cool music. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button. The notification bell is there if you would care to use it. And also, if you'd like to, you could head over to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, where you can donate to support the channel. And, thanks to the very kind donors I've had so far, I had a wish list up for a while that has enabled me to get this microphone and the boom it's sitting on, which has improved the quality of my videos no end. So I really appreciate that. And if you would like to help support the channel, please go ahead. I don't have a wish list right now, but there will definitely be things I'm looking to procure to improve the quality of my work as we go along. Maybe a green screen or something. I don't know. Having a blanket behind me all the time feels a little bit uninteresting, but then maybe that works. I don't know. Apologies for any Rockapella fans if I made any mistakes in names and things like that. Please do let me know below. I don't want to get things wrong. I try my best, but it's hard when you've got a new group and you don't recognize people, especially where you're getting a lot of this kind of. It's almost harder when you're not seeing people in full color. Black and white, grayscale film sometimes actually makes it more difficult to identify new faces. Anyway, but I had a wonderful time bringing Rockapella onto the channel. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you enjoyed. All that sort of thing. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, midnight, 3 a.m., whatever time it is you happen to be watching this. And thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.